Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Morgan Danielle, and today for you guys, I have another story time. I know I've been hitting y'all hard with the story times, but this story time is actually going to be a lot more funner because it's a lot like, yeah. So this is a story time of when I ran from the cops, and I did this all my senior year. So without further ado, let's get right on into it. My senior year of high school, I graduated early. So I graduated after the first half of my senior year. So I did the fall semester, but I didn't do the spring. And that was just because I I was always very proactive. I was never like like a 4.0 student, but I was a good enough student to where I took all the classes I needed even when I was in middle school, so that way when I got to high school, I had less classes to take. So I maybe had like three or four classes. No, I maybe had like two or three classes that I had to take my senior year in order to graduate. And so every other class was an elective, which meant the next semester, which would have been the spring semester, I would have been literally just taking like classes just to take a class. So they offered me to not do it. So I offered to, graduate early. And as fall semester went on, I was just over it. I was ready to go, but I was always that student that was afraid of getting in trouble. Like I did not like to get in trouble. My parents had raised me to be a very like responsible kid. They made me fear getting in trouble because my parents were the parents who y'all, if you black, like black parents are strict. Like my mom and my dad did not play that. Like if you got in trouble at school, like you better have all your explanations ready when you get home. And that was my parents. So I did not want to be in trouble. That was like my thing. I never got in trouble when I was in high school. Like I literally never got a D1. Like I never got written up. I never got ISS. I never went to detention. I never got in any type of trouble. Like I literally played it as safe as you can like play it. Like I played it safe. Senior year comes and it starts to be exam time in the fall. So the way it works at our school is that sometimes, depending on how your schedule works out, you have blocks of time where you may have already taken the exam for that class, but there's this exam study period. And sometimes the exam study periods would be after the exam, which I don't know how that made sense to anyone, but my school had it set up that way. So I ended up with majority study periods that followed after my exams versus before. So I had already taken majority of my exams. So on this particular day, I did not want to go to school. And I begged my mom. I was like, I don't want to go to school. I was like, I literally don't want to go because I'm like, there's no point. Like, I'm going to literally just be sitting in class. And usually on those days, teachers usually just like give you busy work because there's nothing left for you to do. You've passed the exam for the class. So at that point, you either are going to pass the class or fail the class. So I begged my mom to not make me go, but of course she made me go anyway. So I went to school and I was just over it. So as the day went on, I called my mom and she had told me she would pick me up early if I really just did not want to be there. So I called her and I said, Mom, look, I really don't want to be here. Like, sis, I can't do it. Like, if I stay in here any longer, like, I'm going to go batshit crazy. And so she's like, well, I'm not picking you up. And and like, she hangs up. And so at that point, I'm like, I'm fucking stuck. So I had on a crop top, and at my school, there was one particular administrator who always seemed to notice me when I was not following the school's dress code because you couldn't wear crop tops. So he saw me wearing a crop top, told me to cover up. But as soon as he walks off, the next two people I run into are two of my friends. And they're like, we're about to go skip, girl. We're about to go chill. And I had that class with them. So they're like, we're going to go skip the class and chill. And I'm thinking to myself, like, so now I'm about to be in this class bored by myself. I'm like, what the fuck? No. So I'm like, at first I was a little hesitant because I'm like, should I really skip? Like, my heart starts beating fast. And I'm like, should I really skip this class? Like, I've never skipped a class a day in my life. Like, anytime I went to school, I went to class. So, like, this was my first time ever saying, like, I'm just not gonna go. And this was a newfound power because I'm like,
I can really just not show the fuck up.
and I'm like, what's gonna happen? So I've never skipped before a day in my life. So they're like, let's skip. So I'm like, I was going back and forth, and the next thing you know, my friend like grabs my hand and was like, girl, come on, like quit being boring. So I'm like, okay. So my high school was really, really big, and it was owned by two rich families. Or basically they funded the school. So because they funded the school was big. We even had a tennis court, and it was like, and we had a park. Like our school had a park. Like we had
A park. We could afford to have a park.
so we went to the park or whatever, and we're just kicking it, chilling. I was eating, and I think they were smoking. So we were all just chilling, waiting for the class period to end. And we noticed this man playing tennis, and he's watching us as he's playing tennis. And then he pulls out his phone, staring at us, and he's just on the phone, like talking. So because I haven't done anything that I wasn't supposed to do up until this point, like up until this point, I was like a robot. I did what I was told. I didn't realize that he was calling the school to tell him that we were skipping. So my friends get paranoid and they're like, it's time to hit the road, Jack. So we all grab our stuff, we leave, and my heart's starting to beat even faster now because I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I cannot get in trouble. My mom is going to murk me. Like, she is going to deck me. I cannot. So I'm like, okay, y'all, we got to pick up the pace and get back to school. So we're getting back to the school or whatever, and we had went by our school's gym to go down towards where the park was. So as we're going back up, we noticed that, they suggested that we go in the gym and just kick it until it's time to go catch the bus because the buses are literally like beside the gym. So it's like, okay, we can just kick it here until, in maybe like an hour, we'll be like ready. Actually, we had less than that. We had maybe like 30 minutes until the school day ended and we can just go get on the bus and go home. So everybody, there's no point in going back all the way inside of our school because obviously we've skipped. So if someone recognizes us and knows that we're not in class, one, we don't have an excuse to not be, and two, obviously we're going to get in trouble. So we're like, let's not do that. So we go to the gym and we're sitting in there. And let me tell y'all how much my life is really, like sometimes, like I really just be feeling like my life is like a movie because things happen like in such weird coincidental ways. So there was a guy at my school who just did not like me, which actually, being honest, there was a lot of kids that just didn't like me because I was quiet and I was very to myself. And he had always disliked me and always made like mean faces. You know how people just be looking at you and you just be like, get off my face. That was him. So
he was dusty, he was bummy, he was lame. I'm pretty sure now he's probably doing something extra dusty. Like he's probably blowing dust bubbles somewhere because he was a jerk.
And so I see him and he's looking me up and down, and then he darts off. And so they're like, is he about to go tell the coach that we're down here? And so we're getting nervous. So we go towards the door again as if we're about to go out the gym, and we notice that like there's police like everywhere, like, and they're chasing other students who were skipping in that park down because we weren't the only group. So they're chasing people down, they're arresting people, they're putting handcuffs on people, and we're all like, and me especially, I'm like, I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all. Like, I had not skipped before, so I didn't know that our school arrested people for skipping. It hadn't dawned on me. But, because it's considered trespassing if you leave the school. If you technically, like, skipping school is considered leaving. And if you technically leave and then you remain on campus, it's considered trespassing, according to my school. So they were arresting people. And so I immediately started to go into panic mode. And at that moment, people start running up to the gym door, banging on. They're like, let us in. And we're all like, do we let them in? 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 So I let them in because immediately my heart is like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to get fried. And I'm like, y'all probably need to not get fried either. But immediately we start noticing that the police are probably going to come into the gym, and then that we hadn't even thought about the guy with the coach thing going on. So it was like too many dilemmas starting to break out. It was like so many fires, and we couldn't put them shits out. So we're like, what the fuck's going on? I am talking to the people that I actually let my friends in. So it's like I had other friends. I'm gonna call them friend group A. The friends that I skipped with were friend group A. I seen my other friends in friend group B run up to the door banging on it to not get caught. So I let them in because I'm like, I ain't gonna let my friends go down. So we start getting nervous and I turn around and friend group A has disappeared, y'all. I tell y'all, friend group A was nowhere to be found. Like, to this day, I still don't know how they just took off without telling me. Like, I had no clue they had left. I had no clue where they went. I'm over here, like, I literally turned around to look for them, and I'm like, where the fuck did they go? But at that time, I didn't even have time to really let that register because all of a sudden, friend group B takes off running down into the bathroom in the locker area of the gym. So all I can think to do is to follow them because I'm like, well, obviously, whatever's about to happen is about to happen, and I don't want to wait here to see what's about to happen. So I take off running, and keep in mind, I had a Betty Boop purse rain boots, and like y'all, it rained earlier that day, and then the sun started shining, and I had on a hoodie and some leggings. So I'm like, I'm behind them, but I'm looking crazy because I'm running in rain boots with a big ass purse, like that looks like a goddamn duffel bag on my shoulder. So we're rushing. We get to a place and then we just start opening doors. Like at that point, the point was to just get out of the building and make it to the bus lot. So we get to the first door, we go inside of it, and there's a door behind us. So we close the first door behind us, and we're trying to open the second door, but the second door just would not open. So we're banging on the door, we're pulling hard on the knob. I'm getting nervous. I'm like, at this point, like I can hear the police coming in the building. So I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all, we're getting fried. We finally, like, I don't know how my friend did it, but she grabbed the door so hard and she yanked it and threw it like wide open. I think she broke it off the hinges, to keep it honest, because that door would not open when we first got to it. But once she grabbed it and yanked hard, like her life depended on it, the door just flew open. So the door opens and we're all running, but then we start to split up. Everybody starts to split up in different directions. And because we're all split up in different directions, I get nervous. And this random guy is like, and so we're all just like wandering around the gym separately at this point, like in the lower level, because our gym had 2 levels. The top level was like the actual basketball court and stuff like that, and like the stuff, and there was like workout rooms and like that up on the top floor. On the bottom floor was like your concession, where the concession stands would be if they were active at the time, just like all the other stuff that you know you might need, like custodian stuff like that. So it wasn't really like a place that would be populated. So we're like down there, and I'm following behind the girl who opened the door, because I'm like, obviously this bitch is doing magic tricks, okay? This is the bitch you want to be with in this scenario, because she's thinking light on her feet, and I was panicking. So that was the only conscious decision I made. And so all of a sudden we hear, "What y'all doing down there?" And when I tell you, my homegirl hit that door open and I ran behind her, and we like literally ran out the gym. And we were getting nervous because people were saying there was police on both sides of the gym. So it was like pretty much, they were saying that they were at every exit, which meant like no matter which exit you chose, you would basically be running into the cops. I didn't want that problem. So we ran through the middle exit because they were on both sides. So we ran through the middle exit and we went straight up the thing. So the first thing we think to do is cross the street. We start running across the street, a car just comes swerving past, almost hits my friend, and we're just running. I start to see the cops running and chasing people behind us. I just keep running across the thing. And I mean, they weren't like cops. Like, of course they were like our school security guards, but at that time, to me, it felt like a cop, because, I mean, of course it wasn't a crime. We weren't technically doing anything illegal because we were technically students on campus, and all they were gonna do was like arrest you and then tell you to leave the campus. That they weren't gonna like take you downtown or nothing, but like getting arrested is an embarrassing thing. And if you do get arrested on campus, they do call your parents. So that was the only reason why. I wasn't nervous that I was going to jail per se. I didn't think I was gonna go to jail. I might have thought so, but really being honest, looking back, that was not how our school operated on things. Because everybody who got arrested that day graduated, and none of them were arrested, and they all have clean records. So I ran across the street or whatever. I'm running. I get across the railroad tracks that our school had, and I'm literally booking it at this point. And I book it all the way back to the main building. When I get in the main building, y'all,
I had to change of clothes. Luckily, like that was probably the only thing I had going for me. So I changed clothes, and I like literally tried to change my appearance a little bit. Back then, I was wearing my hair my hair was kind of growing because it was natural, but it was still kind of short. So all I did was take off the headband I had on, and I took the headband off. I like messed my hair so it looked scruffy. I took my hoodie off. I put something else over top of it. Like I still had on the rain boots, still had on the same leggings, but I had completely like tried to change my outfit.
And the next step was to get to the bus. So I'm like, okay, the best way for me to get to this bus station is to just act normal and bust my ass to the bus. And me and the friend I crossed the street with, we rode the same bus home. So I was just like, if I meet her on the bus, like I know that we both made it back and we're fine. So that was our meetup spot. Like we were like, okay, like we're gonna separate so we can both get our lives together, but like we're gonna meet back up at the bus. And at the same time, the police are in the bus station looking for students who they thought were skipping or who had been reported missing from class. So me, being me, I just, because I was known as being a good student and I looked like a nerd, I didn't look like a troublemaker, I was able to easily blend through the crowd, and I just literally wiggled my way silently to my bus and got on there. Luckily, my bus was already there, so all I had to do was literally wiggle my way to my bus. I got on my bus, sat down, and I just breathed a sigh of relief. But the terror was not over, because they got on my bus looking for people, and I just sunk in my seat like,
Bitch, no, you're not catching me.
So I sunk down in my seat or whatever. They didn't catch me or whatever. And after that, I pretty much was in the clear. But when I got home, my mom was like, did you have a good day at school today? And I was like, yeah, I really did. Like, I had fun. And she was like, oh, I bet you did because I came to pick you up from school and you weren't even in class. So where were you? And she busted me. And I was so angry because I was like, girl, I went through all of this terror today. Like, I've almost literally, like, died, like, 3 times. Well, not died, but, like, my heart was beating 10 miles a minute. I had so much anxiety and stress over this. And you came to pick me up anyway after you told me you weren't. And that was the only reason why I did what I did. And I mean, I didn't get in a lot of trouble, but like she was, especially because it was my senior year and I was getting ready to like graduate in like literally a couple weeks. So in her mind, she was kind of like, okay, I get it. Like this was the only thing you've done in school that has really been treacherous. So yeah. But that's how they knew I was skipping. But the school I never even got in trouble in school for it. Like it just literally just was whatever. But yeah, that was the time I skipped school, y'all, and went through so much stress. If you ever have skipped school, leave some comments down below. Tell me how your story went. Did you end up getting caught? Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more videos. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.